The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda.
The raid on Abbottabad was an extraordinary operation. It took 40 minutes. The CIA's hunt for bin Laden took 2 decades. This is the inside story of the hunt for bin Laden, going back 20 years. The story you think you know is not the full story. There's a much deeper story to be told, and we have the real people telling it for the first time.
I think women make fantastic analysts. We have patience and perseverance, and we're not always looking for the sexy payoff immediately.
It's a spy movie. It's a story of a small group of women inside the CIA.
We knew something huge was going to happen.
They saw this threat coming, they warned about it, they were blamed after 9/11, and then they were the ones who ultimately tracked them down.
Women were sort of in a central role as far as the analytical side and the targeting side. I mean, we picked up that end of the spear where some of the operations officers tend to be mostly men. And I think this is the place where women actually had a huge stake in the game.
I really set out to put a human face on the intelligence world. I mean, look, these people were doing the jobs that we all wanted them to do. We all wanted bin Laden tracked down and found. Doing that's kind of a tough, often nasty business with lots of moral ambiguities attached to it.
There's a lot of nuance in this film, and this one I think has a lot of that very important nuance about the choices people make and that sort of thing.
And I think it also sheds light on how national security and the CIA actually function, and puts a human face on how that works, that there's emotion behind this, that there's empathy, and that there are mistakes, humanly mistakes that are made, and that, at the end of the day, everybody feels responsibility for that.
Every documentary film depends on trust between the director and the subject. This one especially so. And in the past I've made films where I have a large team of researchers, and I had all that for this film, but I also knew that I had to be the one meeting these people myself.
Meeting Greg, I decided this is probably going to be done in the right way. This is a story I think needs to be told correctly.
Ultimately, and when you see Marty Martin in the film, I don't just call up Marty Martin. There's a whole series of people that I talk to who check me out, and then eventually one of them says, "Hey, there's this guy. You ever heard of this guy, Marty Martin?" Like, no. Yeah, you might want to talk to him. Well, Marty Martin, in fact, ran the hunt for bin Laden and the fight against Al-Qaeda.
Greg came to me, and I could see I guess he got my name. Somebody gave him my name. And so he came to me, talked, and he and Claudia, and we had a nice conversation. And I could see that he was very sincere. There was no agenda. And I could sense from Greg that his sincerity and his team, and that he was very, very determined to tell as much a factual story that could be told.
And they realized that, okay, this was a platform that was important. This was a way to tell the story without any kind of political agenda. Let's just tell it. Let's tell a human story, and most importantly, let's make it a great movie at the same time.
One of the motivational facts for me in telling the story is not as you can tell, it's not as much about me, it's about the people that I worked with, who worked for me, and actually who I worked for. And it's their story. And it's their story of sacrifice and success and pain. And not only those who have left, those who are still in, who spent most of their adult life on the specific topic that we're talking about.
This isn't meant to be a feel-good movie, but it's just at least if it resonates and that people can better understand how national security works, I think was my
And understand that we're
takeaway.
people.
Yes.
We're not cogs in a machine. We're just Americans like everybody else.
In a way, for me, it's like you can't cheer about the hunt for bin Laden and the capture of Abbottabad and love spy movies without understanding all the murky stuff that goes into that world. That's what I tried to capture in this film.